everybody, to another edition of the Cryptid Consortium. We are back. We had to take a little time off to get organized a little bit, but we are back, and we've got a quite the interesting episode for you tonight. Here with Nick and Gary, and Nick is going to tell us what we're covering. Nick?
All right. Well, as you guys know, the Cryptid Consortium, we do the odd cryptid creatures that people do not usually talk about. And tonight's creature is the Batsquatch.
The fat squatch.
A favorite.
Call me fat.
I didn't say fat squatch. I said Batsquatch. Okay. Well, let's start it off. And you guys add to what you can add to it. If I miss anything here, which I probably have, because there was I found something like 50 pages worth on the internet, and I had some books about it. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that I just want to give the first sighting. First sighting was 1994. And yeah, that's about what it looked like. The first sighting was 1994 near Mount Rainier, Washington State. All right. Now, Washington State is still a big place into Bigfoot, but the Batsquatch was first reported by, of all people, a teenager. How many times do you hear that happening, right?
All right.
This cryptid starts with a Washington teenager in a vehicle at night. I mean, I've heard that a few times about other cryptids being spotted and everything. His name is Brian Canfield. He's 18 years old. He was driving his pickup truck at about 9:30 p.m. on April 1994 in an isolated part of the state outside of Tacoma. He was going home to a place called Camp One. Now, I tried finding that on a map, and it must be really off the beaten path. But Camp One is located in the foothills of Mount Rainier. As he's driving, the mountain loomed nearby.
Before you go any further, Camp One is only like 20 miles from where Wes Germer and his brother had his, because they mentioned in some of their shows, they had their Sasquatch, the real famous Sasquatch sightings. It's literally like right there. That's one of their research areas.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Well, maybe the Batsquatch was a Sasquatch and got bit by a bat, and he got sprouted wings. Well, anyway, we've all joking aside, I want to set the scene here. The mountain loomed nearby, covering the darkness of the night sky with its own darkness. I guess that kind of means that's from the newspaper report. Kind of means that that mountain was pretty damn big, and where Brian was driving was not a great place to have a vehicle breakdown under any circumstances. But Canfield quickly discovered an abnormal circumstance to boot. Before he could hit the steering wheel and curse his luck, as his dying truck rolled to a halt, something big dropped heavily in front of the truck and was illuminated by his still working headlights. Of all things, at least his headlights were still working.
Yeah.
Finally, his truck cut off as he was driving down, the roadway in this isolated area. He describes it as this. He says the creature was a broad-shouldered, 9-foot-tall humanoid with big yellow eyes, a mouthful of sharp teeth, and it had tufted ears, as you can see over there.
This is actually his sketch.
Yeah, that's his original sketch. Okay. All right. He said it had clawed feet and a wolf-like face. It was covered in fur, a shade of grayish blue. Canfield said that it just stood there staring at him like it was, just resting and didn't know what to do. It didn't know what to do. Eat the kid, or grab his truck and throw it off the road. Do something, but
do something.
Yeah. Well, that's what the teenager told a reporter from the News Tribune out of Tacoma a few days later. He gave them that quote. He also said that he was scared, and he said it raised a hair on the back of his neck. He said, but I mean, I just feel this is odd. He says he didn't feel threatened. He just felt out of place. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. After a few minutes of this strange, standoff, the creature spread its wings, and he said it was as wide as a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
The creature, leaped into the air and took off into the night sky towards Mount Rainier. Its wings, he said, beat the air so hard that it rocked his truck, which amazingly, it started up as soon as the creature was out of sight. Canefield then he said, that's it. I'm out of here. He raced home and he came in the house. I mean, he had no curfew. He really, there was no, he wasn't in trouble or anything. He was just going home. But he told his parents what had happened. And the parents were worried by their son's flustered state. So his father grabbed a gun, a camera, and he went next door, grabbed the neighbor, and they returned to the spot of where he saw the creature. But they found nothing but a dark, lonely road. Canefield then, as Gary said, he sketched that image of what he had seen, and he was assisted by some of his high school friends who also helped him, name the creature. And they assisted in naming the creature Batsquatch. Now, anybody who's anybody or anybody that's ever read anything in cryptozoology knows this lady's name. This lady was a news reporter turned cryptid reporter, Linda Godfrey. In her book, American Monsters, she tells the story of a Tacoma family. Now, this isn't Canefield. Now, this is another Tacoma family, and they reported multiple encounters on their property in July of 2011. If you guys have any info on that.
Hey, Nick, before you go any further, I got a little bit I wanted to add. I did a little bit background on the Canefield deal. The reporter that took that report from him and wrote the newspaper article, Mr. C.R. Roberts, had been a reporter in that area for over 35 years. And this is a direct quote from him. He says, I vouch for this 18-year-old high school senior by stating he was just an average normal kid. He is no fan of heavy metal, which what's that got to do with it? And he's never played Dungeons and Dragons. He's never seen a UFO. Mr. Roberts also remarked that all of the kids that I interviewed in addition to this incident with him had not been on drugs, gangs, AIDS, or violence or poverty. They was not afraid of it. They was good, upstanding young men and women. To me, that adds a little bit of credence to the report. If a man that's been a reporter for 34 something years, he's got a lot of experience of gleaming the truth out of people and vouching for the young man. To me, that was pretty important.
Yeah, he's definitely has some creds.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, sightings since 1994 and 2011. The Tacoma family sightings have been in Texas, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Wisconsin.
California.
Got some more stuff? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gary, if you want to take it. I think we're thinking of the same one. We get the same one.
My wife's family is all from Mount Shasta, and when I was going through this today, she goes, you need to look at the Mount Shasta. Northern California company of hikers witnessed a huge creatures with wings spanning 50 feet.
Yeah.
From the mouth of a crevice in a mountain. The only problem I have with that report is there's also thunderbirds known in that area.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was the only one. But we have so many things going on, and I'll get into that a little bit later about the I can't even say it, topography of all these sightings where we're having these. But go ahead.
Well, let me add something real quick, Gary. That sighting you're talking about. Now, originally, one of the people in the party, when they took a gander at this thing, he originally said it had a face like a pterosaur.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so and that's where y'all know how I do the whole biological thing and everything, the misidentification.
Yeah.
I think that some of this could be well, just like Nick, you mentioned with the Jersey Devil, the horse-faced bat,
Yeah.
especially at night if it's back illuminated. Now with the young kid from Mr. Kane, he was literally front lighted and it was sitting on the ground in front of him, so he had a very good perspective of it. But if something's flying in the air and it's backlit by the moon or something, it can look a lot closer than it actually is, or look a lot farther away than it actually is. It's hard to judge distance if you don't have something there for a visual reference.
Right.
Which Nick, me and you, with our training with the military, we automatically look for target things to verify distance and size and shape. But if something's flying through the air, and especially if you're in a heightened sense of like being kind of spooked and stuff, a Jersey Devil could look like a crane or look like a horse-faced bat,
Right.
or people don't understand a great horned owl, which every area that we're going to cover this Batsquatch is overlapping territory of a great horned owl, and a great horned owl can have a wingspan of over 13 foot,
Yeah,
and
they're huge.
I can pull up pictures and show you that they look like they're massive, But also, you also have a condor and eagles in the
Right.
same areas that we're having this. So
Problem is, this creature was lit by his
his
headlight.
life, that was the one
Saying
that,
that's 9 feet tall.
yeah, that's what I was saying. His situation's different.
Face
Yeah.
of a wolf. So I'm taking it for how he reported it to the reporter
Yeah,
that this is a Sasquatch with wings, but the face didn't look like your normal Sasquatch. Evidently, it had like a wolf-like face, but I guess they appropriately named it Batsquatch. So that
Yeah.
was pretty good. But it's something that it was found out here in Pennsylvania, and then besides Washington State, I mean in Illinois too, and Texas. I mean
Ohio.
they got around. For
Yeah.
what I understand is they originated, the Batsquatch originated in Mount St. Helens, but when Mount St. Helens erupted, it evidently killed all the cryptids in that area,
Yeah.
the Sasquatch and everything, and whatever ones were left went over to Mount Rainier, up over there. So anyway, go ahead, Garrett, take it from there.
no, keep going, keep going. You're doing good, man.
Oh, well, that's basically what I have. I mean, that's the
Oh,
reason
okay. Go ahead, Jeremiah,
why
and then
there's
I'll
Okay.
follow.
Mount Rainier
Yeah.
is
I
where
did.
it was the home of the Batsquatch.
Okay, I've got one from Ohio. I don't know if you guys found that one.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't. My writing is atrocious. I should have been a doctor. So I think it's. I wrote down 2019, but it kind of looks like a 4 at the same time. But all that aside, um, high school in Ohio. It was a second period Spanish class. A
Oh,
giant black. Yeah, did you get that one? A giant black.
Archbishop Hoban, Akron, Ohio.
Uh, I didn't find anything on the exact location in Ohio. It just
Okay.
says Ohio.
Okay.
This thing flew by the window of the class at an incredible speed. They claim it was 9 feet tall with a 20 to 30 foot wingspan. The only issue I have with that, if it was flying by at a high rate of speed, and not standing on two legs, how can you gauge it at 9 feet?
judge how
But
big this thing is.
And that is the Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron,
okay, okay,
2014.
yeah,
Did they let them out of class?
2014.
They get to skip Spanish class?
I would hope so.
Let's all
But
run
yeah,
outside and look at the Batsquatch.
yeah, yeah. Imagine that. Oof. Yeah, but that's all. That was the last sighting I found. It was from
What year? Does it
2014.
have a year that it was reported?
2014.
2014.
All right, now we're getting closer.
All
I
right.
found the same one you did from 2011, Nick. You already
Uh-huh.
talked about that one. I found that too. Sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
I've got a kind of a personal one with this. I have some friends out of Southwest Texas, stretching, all of them of Hispanic descent, and all of them cryptid.
Mm.
Uh, hunters, and y'all know them. I'm not going to mention their names due out of respect for them. But
Yep.
about 4 or 5 years ago, they reached out to me, a very good friend of mine, and Jeremiah's good friends with you. We're both ex-airborne, and he said that his brother-in-law was a police officer down in Beeville, Texas. And one night, him and his partner was sitting on a off ramp on a highway down there, and something hit the back of their car. They looked in the rearview mirror. Now, I actually interviewed the police officer, but I'm not going to go back into my notations because I have started a new leaf on, as y'all know, on research, and I did not take the report correctly up to my new standards. So I'm going to reach back out to him and redo that interview with the right questionnaire. But that's irrelevant at this point. He said that the thing was taller than the car, standing on the ground, had its both hands on the back of the cruiser, and looked like it was trying to scratch at the antennas.
I thought it was giving itself up, and it was assuming the position.
to get it first, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Pat me down.
They described this as he looked in the mirror, he was seeing like mid-torso to waistline, and then the hands down, and it was like it was trying to grab the radio antennas. He said the thing's shoulders was almost as wide as the car. And so they kind of, how would we say, wanted to get out of there, and so they fired up the car and took off. Now, at this time, that was one of the old Dodge Interceptors, so they'd moved pretty quick. And
40 in it, yeah.
He did not notice the wings at the time that it was at the back of the car. As they drove off, he said the thing spread its wings and took off. And you know, let's go with the whole mainstream thing, the whole Jeepers Creepers thing. You know, this is where I thought, because a lot of these reports came out after the movie Jeepers Creepers. This is when I did my initial research on this years ago. I was like, here we go. This is another, just like the rake, you know, it's another internet thing, you know. But this report come from the early 90s. And both of these guys are law enforcement. One of them is ex-military. I would trust this guy with my life. Wouldn't trust him with my woman, because he's pretty away with the women. You know what I'm talking about, brother. I'm giving you hell.
Yeah, I do.
But,
I know what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah. But he said the thing took off, and he said the thing's wings was massive. And I flat out asked him, I said, you know, you've been into Bigfoot for a long time. I said, what was this thing? He goes, it looked like a Bigfoot with wings. I said, so could it be like a vampire? Could it be? He goes, dude, this thing looked like a big, and he repeated himself. This thing did not look like what we think. With them being Hispanic, you know, they have folklore and history, you know, spanning hundreds of, you know, generations back, you know, with these things. He said, this thing did not look like a Los Macedos. And he spoke, you know, of course, the Spanish name for the vampire. And I said, what did it look like? And he says, it looked like a Bigfoot. And I'm like, I've never heard of a Bigfoot with wings. He goes, well, hell, I hadn't either until I seen this thing. You know?
Maybe it was standing there drinking a Quavo and a Red Bull. So it's
you never know.
I actually figured the reason his hat blew off and he had to fly away to chase down a sombrero, you know, but no, the thing that got me about that report though, you know, when y'all said you wanted to do this, I was kind of digging that back up, is it was going, and I think it's funny that it seemed like it was going after the radio antennas.
Yeah, that's interesting to me.
Say with the car dying.
Yeah.
Now here's the key point. 2016, 2019, 2011, when all these sightings we have a lot of electronic issues in cars. Mm-hmm. That old police interceptor was probably in the early 90s was a simple HEI distributor setup. So any kind of RMF or anything would not shut the car off. Like that's the reason I drive an older pickup, because the EMF won't turn it off.
Right.
But the whole electrical thing, and I have to go into, I got a couple more reports too, but I have to go into the closest thing to this that we could say that in the mainstream that we know of is Mothman. Maybe misidentification, but we'll get into that. So the next report, I have a report from Turkey Creek, Missouri. They call it the Turkey Creek Demon.
Huh.
This is in southwestern Missouri, not very far from a very good friend of ours area, Shane Carpenter. And I've talked to Shane about this, and he says he's heard of this report, but he has not been able to reach out to these guys. This was in 2004. And I'm just going to read it. It's easier as they was and this is straight from the notes. As they tell it, they went into the woods near Turkey Creek. It's a stream in the Missouri Ozarks that extends down into Arkansas. The guys found a strange cave, and shortly after this, they heard sounds in the trees. It was whooshing sound and brought them face to face with a winged creature that looked half human, half bird. One man said it sounded almost like a freight train was coming straight at them. As they fled, the creature also relented. As easy as it is to laugh something like this off, one comment from on YouTube said the same thing happened to them down in that part of Missouri. Okay, Ariel Emmons, I've talked to this person. I live in Missouri, and I saw a flying humanoid creature out by the water district where we were paying our water bill really late one night. My mom and sister and I were in our truck, and we were driving away from the water tower. We saw a huge human-like creature with huge wings. It flew slow right in front of our truck and was not a bird. It was too big to be a bird. Could it be the Mothman? That's where I, kind of got the. Then it goes on to say, as you know it, it's just as a story of three Missouri guys who adventures in the woods. However, they really believe they saw something paranormal, and they believe the entity remains in the area. Now, this report came from, I know who took this report, and I've dealt with this individual for years and years and years, and he does not post stories. He, if it's got to be halfway legit. So that's one of in Missouri. Now, this is the one that got me. I did not know nothing about this until this afternoon. The Kansas City winged demon. The Kansas City demon has been sighted a handful of times, roughly 4 times in Kansas City, Missouri, which is only about, as a drive from where this winged thing is down in southwestern Missouri is only like 3.5 hours to Kansas City, Missouri. If you're flying, you're talking 30 minutes. But Missouri, but it has left a long-lasting mark on those who have seen it. One girl involved in the first sighting passed out upon escaping the creature. The demon is described as the size of a man or taller with a 12-foot wingspan. The wings are leathery like a bat, and the face is that of an ugly man. When on land, it moves in a wobbly way. It's apparently strong enough to shake a house. That was the first sighting was in 2018. The second one was in 2021. The third sighting was back in, okay, so there's 2 sightings in 2018, one in 2021 and one in 2022. And 2015, it was sighted in Olathe, Missouri, or Olathe, Kansas, which is just south of Kansas City. I did not know nothing about that one, but once again, I'm outside of the Mount Rainier incident with the young man and my buddy that physically seen this thing on the ground. This could be a misidentification for a Mothman, or like we was talking about earlier with the great horned owls, because the optics, especially if it's any distance away and you're scared, a hoot owl will look humongous, or and then a Shasta, Mount Shasta, could be Thunderbirds. Now, the next thing that I got, y'all know that I have this map about the Coalition of the Missing 411, the geological, all the cave systems, and the cryptid sightings.
Right.
Mount Shasta, Mount Rainier, down there at Beeville, that's the only anomaly. Beeville, Texas is kind of flat and sandy, but even Missouri all have a mass quartzite and cave system under them. They're all based with these cave systems, and it goes right along with even up into the Mothman sightings in Virginia. They're all based a lot of the same topographic. Nick, you say it so much better than I do. Topographical. Yeah, topographical and geological. I'm wondering if caves has something to do with this. Maybe it gives it a place to stay.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that's a big draw to a lot of different cryptids.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you have Dogman, Sasquatch up there, even if you did have a leftover pterodactyl from the prehistoric times, I'll bet you they chill out in the caves over there too. So,
The
I mean, there's a lot of caves in that, cave systems in that area.
the
Right.
Mount Rainier and the Mount Shasta thing, my first thought is, we released condors in the Mount Shasta area in the 90s.
Yeah.
We also released them in Mount Rainier area shortly after St. Helens. So, but that would not explain the sightings prior to that.
Well,
And
I want to throw something in because what you were saying about that, they cited something, they thought it was a pterodactyl, and or it could have been the owl, like you said, horned owl. There is another creature that does a yearly trip from the south of United States in a straight line going right up through Missouri and all the way up to Michigan, and that is the sandhill crane.
yes,
Sandhill crane
yes,
was
yes,
actually when I went down to West Virginia and I was investigating the Mothman. I saw the owls that they had down there, but they weren't big enough. Sandhill crane, a couple of them were about a good 5'7" tall, maybe a little taller. I didn't want to get that close, but their wingspan was great. Now
yeah,
they do a yearly trip, and it's straight up through Missouri too. So
absolutely. And if you've ever been within 20 or 30 yards of them things when they fly, they sound like a freaking. It's
yeah,
just whoosh,
I
whoosh.
mean their wings are really enormous. And
Yeah,
so once again, the only reason why I mention this is because people have to remember there has been a lot of misidentification,
Right.
out there.
and even before the show, me and Nick, we was talking about this that, or it might have been during the first part of the show when we was recording. I can't remember if you hit recording yet, but unless you have a physical, and even at that, even if you have like a mountain behind you or trees or something behind you, in low light, it is so hard with our vision, the way our vision is set up to set distance and size. I've got pictures of birds at night that look like they just feel the moon, because of the close nearness and farness, and it's hard to gauge that at night. Even rangefinders don't work that well at night. Laser rangefinders do.
Yeah.
Did you guys find anything internationally? Because I did.
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
I didn't get
Yeah.
anything on that. What'd you get?
Now, Nick and I'd be more than willing to bet you've heard of this cryptid before because it
Owl man?
resembles the Ahul.
Yahoo?
The Ahul. Ahool.
Where's
Now,
that?
Yeah.
that's in Sumatra, Indonesia. And
Right.
then there's another one called the Orang Bati.
Yeah.
Now, the description of these things is very, very similar to the Batsquatch.
Right.
That elongated snout like a baboon or an ape or wolf or whatever. But the hool is more of a, from what I've read on it, it sounds more like a flying dog man. So God, I mean, we've got our flying dog man, our flying squatches. I wonder what's coming next.
Yeah.
But that's what I found as far as internationally is Indonesia.
See, the thing with Indonesia pulling that up, when you get into areas like that, and even like South America, and that's where I wrote off a lot of the sightings that I found when talking to the Hispanics, is you have the eagle, you have a lot of big birds,
Absolutely.
but you talking about the flying dog man. Let me show you something. Let me see. Save image. Just give me just a second, guys. It's easier to do it this way. Okay, where you at? Pull that up. Go to share screen. I did not know they got this big.
Yeah, they're right there, man. Yep. Now, is that from Indonesia?
Ranges from Indonesian all the way through the Polynesian islands, even in South America. That is the giant golden-crowned flying fox. It is possibly the largest bat in the world. It has an average wingspan of 5 to 9 feet, and the heaviest recorded bat with the largest wingspan in recording at 13 feet.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's bigger
Now
than the
that
hornhead bat.
It's
that
got a beautiful color though, and
It,
it is.
got fur. It looks like it has fur on it rather than the
you're
leathery skin of your normal bat.
you're
I mean,
telling me. Go ahead.
you're right. Look at the snout on that thing, Gary. I mean,
Yeah, and you see this thing flying in the middle of the night, and
yeah,
and it being that massive and not having something to gauge it off of, and your heightened senses and heightened awareness and your elevated mental phase of being scared. Yeah, you would think that was a daggum Jeepers Creepers or something coming at you. I wouldn't want
right.
to go looking. And the thing of it is too is they're known. Let me get down here and read it a little bit more. Read it to it. They're known to be a mega bat epidemic in the Philippines. So
Oh wow,
their population is crazy in the Philippines. Which, where was you talking about, Sumatra?
Sumatra. Yeah, but we mean
Just
that same part of the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they're not aggressive, but they're not scared of people either.
Right.
They make them into pets. Now I'm wondering too if since with the Batsquatch thing, the eclipsing of the massive amount of sightings is in the early 2000s and the 90s up.
Mhm.
You is the whole exotic animal factor, bringing stuff in and letting them loose because just
Right.
like the cats here in Oklahoma, they say, oh, there's not no mountain lions and stuff in Oklahoma, but there's sure lions
Yeah.
and gators that's got released. I've tracked them and there is mountain lions, but
Mhm.
it's
And
just one.
that's Gary. This is another good spot just to throw something in there. The reason why when I'm out there with the team, we carry different types of equipment. I mean, this is a good time to mention equipment. As you know, I carry electronic flashbangs. They're
Mhm.
balls that emit high frequency noise and also high bright light. I also carry a supersonic whistle that
Mm-hmm.
just put to your
Mhm.
mouth. And when we've gone through certain areas, you hit that whistle and you're going to get those bats to
Yeah,
leave the area.
absolutely.
Mm.
And
I,
that's what I was going to ask you about, though. It's too bad your buddy, in the police car, when the Batsquatch or whatever it was in the back there playing with the antennas. And by the way, at that time, if it was a Ford Interceptor, I'll bet you they had at least 6 antennas because
Probably
they
in the 90s,
have
yeah.
different radios and everything in the cars back then. But I mean, too bad that they didn't think to hit the siren. It
Yeah,
probably
that.
disrupted the creature, the ears and everything.
Well, it's funny you talking about that. I never thought about that. When I'm training these dogs and stuff, especially in the military, we did use a. Speaking of dogs, here comes the
Yeah,
dog.
I just saw him.
I
Where's
seen
the
the ears coming up behind me, but anyways, when we would at night when we would blow the dog whistles, there
Mm.
more than once bats would drop out of the sky. I never thought about that until you said that with that super high frequency.
Remember, their hearing is just
Yeah,
enormously better than ours, easily. So that's
yeah,
the reason why I carry all that stuff in the field, and it's easy. You carry the whistle right around your neck, and I mean, pop it right
oh
up
yeah,
if
oh
you got
yeah.
to use it.
I'm
And
kind of
that's another thing for people that do UFOlogy, by the way. You're going to have, if you are attacked by an alien, all right, in quotes, or something out there, you're going to have to disrupt it somehow. Maybe you can
Mhm.
disrupt it with sound, with lights. If you're armed, well, that's another thing. But maybe that's not going to work. That might work. Something as
Yeah.
simple as a supersonic whistle. You
yeah.
know?
Well, in saying that is a perfect alluding to what I was actually going to want to bring up here in a minute is, when you look at the sociological and the religious writings of and legends of the past and lore of the past, multiple, I mean, angels, demons with wings, aliens with wings. How much of this you have to wonder. I don't know how religious you guys are, but how much of this could be our mind based upon our teachings because of demons and angels with wings and Lucifer, the fallen angel. And it can
Hmm.
eat our brain when we see something because we're writing a paper right now, and I've got PhD people writing papers that I've
Yeah.
used as reference that alludes to this, that when we see something we can't explain, we automatically go to the one thing that we use to explain the unexplainable, and that's God and religion and sociology. How much of this could be that, exactly that, could be a animal that they seen and misidentification for this. Now, in saying that, could this also be the physical manifestation of these winged creatures, angels, demons, because it does say in the Bible and in a lot of the ancient prophecies that in the latter last days there will be great signs coming from the heavens, and the beasts of the field shall feed on the flesh of the men, and all this doomsday stuff. And we do see an escalation of this, and it makes you wonder how much of this is based on fact and how much is based on fiction. There's a very fine line.
It reminded me of the Norse tales of the Valkyrie.
Yeah,
The description.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it reminded me of right off the bat.
They want to always portray these things as beautiful women with wings, and angels beautiful with wings, but demons have got that. Here's the thing for me, when we describe this thing with broad shoulders and hair, and I've got a personal story I'll tell y'all off the air that happened to me, but I honestly think it was due to religious teaching and religious, for the lack of better terms, religious brainwashing
Hmm.
made me portray this in my mind, because now I question it. But I myself have seen something like this with large wings when I was like 6 years old. The way I described it, I don't remember the incident, but my family tells me that we was driving in front of a bar where a guy got killed in something just like this with large bat-like wings, furry, broad shoulders, flew across the top of the car carrying a human. And I was like 6 years old describing this. And like I said, I don't remember it in my mind, but they've told me this my whole life,
Yeah.
But with all that religious upbringing, because that is your most inspirational time in your life, from like 4 to 12, and hearing all this doomsday and stuff like that. If my mind fabricated that due to my teaching from my religious
Really,
background,
yeah.
but there is a crossover. I mean, we are literally at the point now that we're coming across a lot of this stuff. It does have. I love how I love how you put it. Every legend has a semblance of truth in the past
Yeah.
somewhere. There's always a root to the legend or a cryptid. I mean, because a cryptid realistically is a living legend. I love Jeremiah. You're the one that first said that. You actually we was gonna do that on one of the titles for one of the shows. Cryptids, living legends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it makes you wonder how much of this could be alien, how much could be, because
Alien-esque. Yep.
we don't even know. And I'm gonna piss a lot of people off when I say this, especially the Christians. Everybody knows I'm a Christian Buddhist, which is confusing anyway, or Buddhist Christian, however you want to put it. But we don't know exactly what gods are. They could be aliens. I know
Yep.
I'll know my God when I see him. And honestly, I don't care if he is an alien. I'll know my Creator if he shows up as a 10 foot tall hairy beast with wings, and I don't care. I'll know my
Yeah.
Creator.
No. Yeah.
But we don't know exactly what they are. They very well could be interdimensional creatures. They could be aliens. They could be. We don't know yet. I think we're a lot closer figuring it out now than we was 100 years ago. But
Yeah.
I think we just need to ask Nick. Nick knows all the answers.
Yeah, we're this much closer than we were 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Just that much, just a little bit.
Well,
That's how strange it is.
it's funny you say that though, because I was having this conversation with my partner last night. We talked on the phone for like 4 hours, and we was talking about this exact thing about cryptids intertwined with sociological interpretation and religious. And I love how he put it. He flat out put, the Bible talks about hairy men. The Bible talks about giants. The Bible talks about dinosaurs. The Bible talks about flying angels. The Bible talks about UFOs, aliens, all of this stuff. And it describes it pertinently. The only discrepancy is the timeline. That is everybody thinks that the Bible is like 3 to 7,000 years old. Yes, that form of the Bible. But if you break it down to the roots, the stories from the Old Testament can be traced all the way back to the Sumerians, all the way back to the Paleolithic people. So yes, the Bible, that conglomerate of those stories, is only 7,000 years old. But they're based, even the Great Flood, every ancient culture on this planet talks about a Great Flood, including the Japanese, including the Chinese, the Native Americans.
Yep.
It's just the timeline. And people's like, well, the Bible goes, that's when the world started, was at the Bible. I understand that rendition of the timeline. Right. The Bible, and I'm going to get a little religious here, but the Bible flat out says that one day is as of 1,000 years to God. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Time is as of nothing. A fleeting moment of time is forever. He is infinity. As man, we're the only right what we see. Exactly. So these things in the Bible could be dinosaurs, could be woolly mammoths, could be. I love the rendition of the famous Greek, the Iliad, where they talk about the Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
You know what a Cyclops is? You know where the actual story come from? Is they found mammoth skulls, because when you look at a mammoth skull, it has the tusks that come down in a single hole in the middle where they're.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Just a slight correction, because you remember when we were talking last week about how many reports you took and I took, and I was amazed at how many. I think a slight correction is this, because I was just reading about this the other day. The Bible is only 2,700 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not 7,000 years old.
You can't quote me on timeline, because
I know.
Folks, I'll be blunt on
that. You're not taking painkillers.
Doesn't mean that much to me. Well, no, not today. But even at that, yes, folks, I've damaged again, so have broken and taken I don't know if everybody will announce it now. I am recovering from cancer, chemo, and they've got me on all kinds of stuff. But anyway, the time does not mean nothing to me anymore, because time is, and this may sound silly, but time is a man-made entity. Yeah, nature doesn't care about time. Nature is wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. We're the ones that puts time on everything. And even when you look at history and stuff, you can't go by the time, because everything the Bible's talking is 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. We're carbon dating and talking about hundreds of thousands of years. We've done proof that man has been on this planet for at least, modern man in the rendition that we are now, Homo sapien, has been on this planet for at least, now I do know this one, 70,000 years. Look at Jeremiah, you talk about it all the time, about the in the islands over there, the newest form of the ancient human.
Oh yeah, Homo floresiensis.
Homo floresiensis. They've been around. Everybody says that they all died off 80,000 years ago. Well, they found some bones that was less than like 13,000 years old.
13. That's exactly what it was. 13,000 years. And villagers, elders are still swear that these things are coming down from the hills at night and raiding their villages for food.
Yeah. So how are we as man being arrogant? And this is maybe a good place for me to hush, but how are we as man being so arrogant to say that there's not cryptids, that there's not these other things? Literally, we are within 6 months. They might have already done it and they just haven't announced it yet. But a few months ago, we was within 6 months of recreating woolly mammoth in Siberia.
Yes.
Literally, we've done cloned. I can take you to a friend of mine here in Texas, in Canadian Texas, right over here north of Amarillo, and he has literally cloned over 25,000 horses.
Oh my God!
He has cloned a horse, a 100% perfection clone. He took a gelding horse that has no sexual organs, cloned it, put it inside of a Jenny mule that has no active sexual organs. It's all documented through the OSU, OU, all the agricultural, the National Ag Department actually bought out all his notes. His name's Jason Abraham. He literally cloned a champion quarter horse from a gelded horse and put it in a sterile Jenny mule and brought her through a cycle. She carried and delivered that stud. That stud went on and won 3 national championships in points reigning. Perfect.
Unbelievable. Wow.
This is the guy that I was telling you about that we're going to talk to about cloning Scout. If we can do it with that, who says that we're not doing it with other things? Where did this technology come from? This is where I'm getting into here lately of all. Nick, you said it right just a few minutes ago. Not even 100 years. What, 50? So 70 years? It seems like from Roswell, New Mexico, shortly after World War II.
Yep.
Right.
And now, look at how the technology has escalated and just keeps escalating. That's where I can fit. I tell y'all all the time that I believe in Dogman. I believe in the idea that it exists. I don't doubt what you guys have seen 100%. What I wonder and what I question is, what is it? Is it man-made? Is it spiritual? Is it a combination of the two? We don't know, but
a lot of the people that are into cryptozoology that I've spoken to about it, we went over my encounter with it and went over their encounters and sightings that they've seen. I mean, it's split out there. It could be alien, it could be something that has been on this earth and has evolved. I mean, as you saw, the jackal-like creature in Egypt,
Anubis,
statues and paintings of, right?
Mm-hmm.
The animus. I mean, that that could have evolved into what we now know as the Dogman. Now, it could be spiritual because the Native Americans. I mean, I can't tell you how many books I've taken this out of. I've traveled through the South, the Southwest, went to libraries, went to bookstores, taken it out of books. And these books are, pretty darn old, 1800s. And the Native Americans have spoken about them and that they protect their, I've said this before, they protect their burial grounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's just one aspect of it. Then you have the Dogman that was seen in the late 1800s in Michigan, by the two lumberjacks, and then, I mean, you have it all over the place. So do we know what it is? No.
Let's even take it to a more practical and physical level. You even look at Neolithic and Paleolithic paintings from all over the world, and they all partake or exhibit
they depict
the same animals.
It looks like it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yep.
How is this? How is it?
There's got to be something there. Now, from where I come from, being a hardcore, my wife says that when it comes to cryptids, I'm narcissistic now because I just laugh at everybody. But that's my way of dealing with it. But there's no doubt in my mind, Nick, me and you spilt the same blood and the same mud. I've said this over and over. There's no doubt in my mind you've seen what you've seen. I 100% believe you. I 100% believe that our buddy Tex down here at Trinity Paracryptid seen what he's seen. I 100% believe that Wiley Dan out here in western Oklahoma took a pot shot at one because I know Wiley and I know he's not full of crap. And the descriptions and the things that he was doing, it makes sense. I 100% believe in those type of sightings. But what was it? Now, the ones that I have trouble with is these people that, I have intimate relationships with them every night, and I talk to them every night. You're talking to something. I don't think it's the same things these guys are dealing with because these things, if they was on to connect with anybody, they connected with these guys or somebody like me, like at Sasquatch sighting. I think that you might have other issues, but how do we put this without really upsetting a lot of people? I don't question the existence thereof. I question the existence of the information taken from that experience.
Right.
There's too many too many creditable people that have a lot to lose. Like my buddy, the police officer, Nick, like you, like Tex, one of our former presidents, Teddy Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
There's too many law enforcement, doctors, lawyers that and it's, I'm just saying, and Nick, I'm glad that you caught me the other day, because when I said that, I hyperextended the number. But of my 700, and I went back and looked, 742 reports. Of all the reports that I've taken, I would probably say 80%, which I kind of got to throw them out the window because of my own mistakes, but 85% of the hardcore lawyers, doctors, law enforcement, military, there is no orbs shooting bolts out of their eyes, hooky pooky stuff. It's, I seen what I seen in the woods or at my property. It did this, it looked at me, it engaged me, and it left, or it was crossing a road. It's people with religious backgrounds, and I'm going to make a lot of people mad when I say this, and I don't care anymore. A lot of people with religious backgrounds where they, when I say religious, they're very deep into the spiritual, very deep into the paranormal, and Jeremiah, you know, me and Stacy, we go way back in this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Call it being in tune with these things and they're interacting differently. I don't know, but it's 80 to 90% of the people that are physical, hardcore, and I don't want to say upstanding because everybody can be upstanding, but the creditable are mundane experiences. Like Nick, you know, as much as I hate to say it, your account and my account and Jeremiah, your account, to a lot of people is very mundane.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't have to, I don't get where, I read I have to mention it again. I read the report out of Western Oklahoma that I took where the lady was having sex with a Sasquatch in the woods. You know, it's like, is it not enough that you've seen one?
No, I mean, that was after she smoked a couple of doobies and probably snorted some cocaine.
Nick, thank you for saying it, because that was in my thoughts.
couple hits of acid, you know. Hey.
I mean, you're right. My encounter was just totally boring. I've been told, hey, you know, your encounter was just as boring. I mean, it didn't rip apart the deer and grab a leg.
Is it not good enough that you've seen something that is not supposed to exist? Not 140 years ago, the mountain gorilla was in the same phase as the Sasquatch.
Gorilla, right?
Existing right now, the thylacine up until 6 months ago was extinct.
Yes, it was.
6 months ago, we found legitimate 3 sets of tracks. I say we, but the scientific community, 3 sets of tracks, and got actual pictures. So we have proven that the thylacine is no longer, technically, never was
extinct.
No,
not.
To me, that is so exciting. And now I get excited about the whole woolly mammoth thing. If they get this done with the woolly mammoth, think of all the animals that man has destroyed. We can finally bring back the balance of nature, but you know man's going to screw it up somehow. They're going to start. We're going to have Jurassic Park before too long. We're going to be
Jurassic Park. Oh my God!
Coming from somebody like me, I'm going to be like that old guy on Jurassic Park, the old hunter. Say, keep my fee. I'm taking my rifle. I'm going after the T-Rex. It'll be me and the raptor there with the shotgun, and I'll be fixing to shoot this, and one come. But what a way to go, man! Have one come rip your head off from the side. You know, you talk about from a.
You're gonna get Gary. We can't reach him.
I was talking to a couple of friends of mine. We're planning another trip southeastern Oklahoma, and I always laugh. I said, "Why do you guys like to go with me?" They said, "Because we ain't got to worry about outrunning the bears and the lions and tigers. We just got to outrun you, and you can't run." So I said, well, guys, that's why I stay so big, don't you? And they was like, why? I said, that way they'll have plenty to eat and won't want to come after you. No, but Batsquatch, unique.
Yes, very, very unique.
Harder ones.
My favorite one that we've done so far over the years, I guess it's been a couple of years now, right?
Couple seasons, 2 seasons on this show, yeah.
Yeah, the Mongolian death room. He's my favorite.
That was a good one.
I love that little squishy guy. I mean,
That's another one of them that's real hard, but it's hard to disprove either. It's one of those you don't know. I've actually one of my bucket lists is to go to being my family from Mongolia. I've always wanted to go to the Gobi Desert, but the way things are over there right now with China and everything, I ain't going. Even the United States.
Away.
Period.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
So, yeah. I want to ask this question before I have to get off here pretty soon and cook dinner, but I wanted to ask these questions. In your personal opinion, I mean, we've all dealt with cryptids. We've all had sightings. Mm-hmm. Legit or not legit? Personal opinion. 100% personal.
I think it's in my mind, it's either misidentification or alien-esque, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I was thinking to myself, misidentification.
Yeah.
But it could very well be one of those Thunderbird type misidentifications.
Yeah.
Because the Native Americans have it in their drawings all over the place, and
totem poles.
Many decades.
Thunderbird, yes.
Yeah.
I think this thing may have just landed and just taken off.
Yeah,
that's what I really think it is.
I 100% agree. That was one of my biggest things, because I really started digging into, like Native American legends. That's kind of my final deal, because I can't think of the guy's name. Victor Riolo, in the introduction to his show, he says he believes that the Native Americans really know. You don't hear a lot of Native American legends about this. This is a fairly new deal. And
I was thinking the same thing, Gary, when I was researching it.
That's the reason I think that misidentification and in saying that, I'm probably going to do that every show. At the end of every show, I'm going to ask you guys in your own person.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Or just for the simple fact that I think, well, personally, I respect you guys' opinion a lot more than I do a lot of other people's. And
sure.
And in my scope of research, because we're kind of spread out right now, I'm going to start relying more upon y'all than I do other things. Because Nick, I don't know if you ever do that. Do you ever go back and look at some of your reports and reread them, and it's like,
I have, yeah, I've reopened.
Really said this, it's.
I have too. Same
of the old cases.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I reopened my own case because I got new information.
Yeah.
There was a Native American burial ground located not too far away from where I had the encounter.
See, there you go.
There you go, man.
New information. I mean, it was a cold case, being 2013. But a few years back, I got information on that, reopened it.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to hush. With me doing this study, right now I'm in the process. I've read and these numbers I do know because I just started it like 2 weeks ago, but I'm on my 36th scientific paper, ranging from 10 to 100 pages. And it's all on the psychological side of this. And and I'm going to say a little bit, but that's another way I kind of gauge my reports and the people that I talk to. Every one of us, the three of us, have questioned even our own sighting. It's not one of them. I know what I saw, but what did I see? And
right.
What caused it to happen? Not that it's not that you're questioning that you've seen what you saw. You're questioning the encounter.
Yeah. Why?
What caused this? What caused that? Well, did I really see this, or did we? We're always reevaluating this. And when I get people that are not willing to go back and reevaluate, they're just 100% set in their ways and stuff. I kind of I'm not saying that they're not correct, but I
Mm.
kind of shy away from them for the
Yeah.
fact that science itself is questions. It's all
Sure.
science is one big question. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to, because from this moment on doing the show, y'all know that I'm going to be this way. The next person that comes up to me and says they don't give a rat's butt about what scientists say about this, or that there's a big cover up and all this, I'm going to laugh at them. I have talked to multiple scientists, multiple PhDs in the past 6 months, been working with them for the past year, and they all say the same thing. We will take any report, any sighting, any piece of evidence if you prepare it right. But we're not going to take Billy Bob Joe Blow got freaking molested by an alien when he was 12, seen a Sasquatch when he was 16. We want hardcore, legitimate evidence. And I love. I was reading a scientific paper last night, and me and my buddy was talking about it. Even in the hardcore scientific papers, even like the study of orcas and undersea stuff now, they don't video and pictures. Since we have all this AI stuff, that to them is not legitimate evidence. Audio is not legitimate evidence. They want tissue samples, blood samples,
Mm-hmm.
and it's making it harder for guys like us.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, guys,
Well,
we're out of time tonight.
Yeah, that was a good episode, boys, and
Bye quick.
we will be we will be back next week with another good cryptid. So everyone be good to each other. Gentlemen, you have a good evening, and God bless everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.